just going. I'll do an announcement tomorrow. Yeah, I believe I'm going at 7 o'clock tomorrow. No, what am I doing Wednesday? I forget. I'm having some frosty because I'm thirsty. Been a lot done today. What I need to do is real quickly. I need to pick up. What is this? Oh. I'm trying to find the live video here. Is this it? Let's hope it is. Just, yeah. Okay. I gotta raise up this screen or lower the drawbridge, one of the two. Anyway, guess I'll talk about this later. Picked up some things today. All right. Well, it's Inktober number 7. I don't think there's any birthdays. Next birthday coming up is Andrea Kaczynski on here's Facebook. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Diane Sarche is 81 tomorrow. Andrea is day after tomorrow. Frank Mariani is his 11th. And Bill Chinoka is the 13th. He'll be 66. Ugh, I always thought Bill being younger than me, but he ain't. All right, here's someone who is my age. Phil Boyle's birthday is the 19th. He started a business called Coliseum of Comics 40 odd decades ago. And I never realized, I always thought he was significantly younger than me. Turns out he's my age. Was I ever surprised? All right, so let's see. So, something keeps coming up today. It's old, it's age. It's come up in every single thing I've done today. I was at the Springs Institute with friend Daryl Wells from Turkey. Age came up more than once. And then I was over with my mother-in-law of sorts, Helen, who we talked about age. And then I was on the phone with a cousin talking about age. And I was at a bookstore and age came up. Oh, it just came up. So let's do something with age. It keeps coming up. And we hear birthdays, no less. And I've got to go take a nap because I am so tired today. So again, Cattober, so lots of kitties. Having as many kitties as I've had in my life, I know how kitties look when they get old. Also been in contact with a friend of mine, Ben, and he brought up the age thing. I didn't bring it up, he did. A lot of friends turning 65 either this year or next year. I apologize, I may yawn a lot. I am tired. I know I didn't make I'll make an announcement tomorrow. But I'm talking for those who come in, watch this later. driving back to where I am, had me go through Gainesville and past the University of Florida and all these young folks, which I thought one of these days they're going to be old. And one, golly. Hope everyone has the Christmas decorations up. Really sad driving through Gainesville. I saw no Christmas decorations. It's days like today that really make me realize how old and tired I feel these days. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Something else old people do is blow their nose a lot, I think. I'll do this earlier tomorrow. I've got a 3 o'clock appointment, but I'll do it earlier. Maybe I won't be making an announcement. I'll make an announcement for hopefully Wednesday. I'm really trying to make him look old. I should make this a sweater, shouldn't I? Pocket with a thermometer and whatever. Oh, hello, Sean. Your draw out of the blues. Out of the blues, thank you. Well, it's a lot of years of drawing. I'm blowing my nose. Well, I'll mention this as you're here. While visiting the Florida Springs Institute, I stopped at an antique store, picked up a few things, which I'll make sure another time. But here, I did stop at Second and Charles. Do you know who Eddie Pittman is? He was an animator. He helped create Phineas and Ferb and did a bunch of work on it. Well, he did. He lives here in Florida. He's a friend. Like I said, I think he moved to Georgia. I apologize. I think he packed him. He and Beth and all moved to Georgia. Anyway, he did Red's Planet. And at first, it was a comic book he did himself. He used Kablam, I believe, to publish it, and then he spun it off, and he was able to get this done, which is a second graphic novel of the Red's Planet story. I was very sad to find this at Second and Charles for Don't Tell Eddie, but it was a big $1.75, and that is very, very sad. He's an outstanding cartoonist. He's been a friend. We worked together on things. We worked did the USO thing and some other stuff. We were both with National Cartoon Society. I know he's kind of been back doing the caricature thing, as many of my animator friends have nothing to do these days. As AI takes over and we further are not needed. But this is $1.75. It's a thick, full color graphic novel. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. And Red's Planet's about his daughter, who's redhead. His wife's a redhead, so he has children that are redhead. It's just sad. I bought it mostly so I can get. I didn't have it, so I have the comic book that he gave me. But I didn't want. No, I don't think he'd see it, but I don't want him to see it. God, that's awful. Just shows how what a rotten business this is. As I was saying, I was with some friends today, and the subject of being old kept coming up. No matter where I went, it kept coming up. And just before I started, a friend of mine, Ben, was writing to me about how old he suddenly feels, and I don't know where that came from. It's like everybody's kind of off to the side saying, "Let's talk to him about being old all day." Some of these folks don't know each other at all. Well, all these folks don't know each other. It's interesting. But I admit I'm tired. Today's been a busy day. Lots done. No, no, this is that. I'm still using the zebra brush marker that I think you scanned the. How much did you pay for this, by the way? I hadn't seen. I don't think I've been in connection with you since we interacted about this, but I've since been to. What's the heck's the name of the store? Pop Shelf, and these have gone up $1. Considering they were two and now they're three, that's a pretty big jump. But they had gone up $1. I'm curious what you spent for it. You said you'd ordered it while we were communicating here. Oh, you spent $4. Whoa. Well, I saw that. I found these. I was curious. So a couple days ago, I bought this last week sometime. So a couple days ago, I looked on Amazon and found you could get a whole box of these, 17 of them, I think, for less than $20. There are better pens. This is good. I mean, I admit there are better ones, but this is definitely good for the price. So this is my Inktober for today. Who knows what tomorrow may bring? Tomorrow I'm going to go see some kitties, a whole bunch of kitties. A friend of mine has herds of kitties by his house, so I'm going to go there. But I may do this before I do that, because I'd rather do this early. Then I have more energy and I don't sound like I'm about to fall asleep like I am right now. Am I still on the page? Yes. Now, I admit I used to be like this, running around everywhere, making people dizzy. It's only been the last few years where I've really been slowing down. And I am pretty sure I'm going to go lie down after this. I'm just tired. As I said, like to kind of say, mother-in-law Helen, she's 87. She said she's always feeling like lying down all day long, even while she was talking to me. So it's just part of the things as you get older. Body gets worn out. Of course, she's 87. It was very nice. At Spring Institute, where I was earlier today, with Dr. Bob Knight and my friend Daryl, who was visiting from Turkey. I met Daryl there. Bob came and we were able to meet there at the Florida Springs Institute, and we're walking through, and I gave him copies of my newest Gopher Tortoise book, and they're so nice. He wanted to hold it up and show everybody, and I didn't know he has a whole gallery of my artwork there at the Springs Institute. I was quite taken aback. I've been in there before, but I never walked through the whole thing before, and it was hiding back there. It was very nice. Because I've done a ton of stuff, try to educate folks about our tremendous water issues here in Florida. Very bad. See if I can get a little darker here so I kind of give a little more sense of form. My history involving what? Most everything involves history. Florida history, water history, environmental, historical, political. Political, environmental, historical. Yep, those are the three. That's my history and stuff like that. Yep. I've covered a lot of territory. A lot of folks haven't done all the different things I've done. Now Eddie has, and I think Eddie's doing some caricature work right now. Caricature, comics, coloring books. I think we both worked on comic strips. And he worked in animation. I mildly did. There's just really no pay, and it's a real drudgery. And I'm impatient sort. Oh gosh, I got my nose again. What did I do with that napkin? Come back here. Yeah, art's a malleable word. It means many things, involves lots of stuff. People are using art as some sort of finite entity, which it just isn't. As much as you could call this is artwork, This is artwork. I didn't bleed through here. If I did, this whoever wrote this, Nathan Saad. There's artwork. People actually going around writing things. That's art. No, that's what's called writing. The word arts, the word art is turned into something historically. It makes no sense, and it's specifically in the West this is happening. The East it isn't happening. Here in the U.S. specifically, it's turned into something I don't understand. I don't understand where it's just people are dumb. They don't know art history. They don't understand where artwork comes from. It's work, and it's an umbrella word that can fall over so many things. What have you accomplished? What have you done? I don't know if that makes any sense. I see more and more people say, "This is my art." No, it's not. What the hell does that mean? No, what have you done? What have you accomplished? What are your results? Is that what you're asking? What are my results involving work I've done? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. And I could probably answer a question. I'm not sure if I am answering. I think people use the word art now to make themselves feel important. I know narcissists tend to use the word art, my art. Stupid. So stupid. Oh, I haven't heard anything more, or I'm not reading anything more, so I don't know if I answer a question, didn't answer a question, or would. All right, so that's enough of that. I think that gets the idea across. And I'm tired. Tired ain't pretty. We are 10-7. Anything else? How did you start? Did you work in animation? Ever have a comic strip, art school? Yeah, I'm not into the art stuff. I'm really not. Yeah, I never worked in animation. I've worked different. You don't tend to work on a comic strip. You work on many different. I mean, I don't know anyone who hasn't worked on a comic strip, hasn't worked on maybe a dozen comic strips or whatever. And my main focus is environmental, historical, political. That's my main focus. If I can get results involving those, I use whatever materials and ways I can do it. For example, with the Florida Springs Institute, we did a book called Aquatic Adventures, which educates about our aquifer and our water and how the importance of, well, first of all, how water operates in Florida, involving, and I could go on 3 hours probably on this, but involving the basins and the plant life, the animal life, but the importance of the interaction thereof. And a lot of folks don't want to talk about it. I had to force to get construction in there because no one wants to talk about the realtor builder developers. I do, and I do it a lot. And I get people really mad about it because they are a big force in Florida, and you can live or die by them, and I don't care. They're evil. Um, that's, and then historically, and that's just involving the drawing. But I've written and I've done presentations. I've done so much involving environmental issues. I've gone. One of the biggest wastes of time are these morons who go out there waving signs. Save our water, save our. No, that's okay. Or whatever it is, the stupid left wing stuff that happens. Also, it's garbage. You want to get things done, you get things done, and you get results. That's how you do things. You work with legislators, you work with your politicians, you work to get things done. That's environmental, historical, political. There you go. So when it comes to art stuff, I mean, some people, it's art. I don't care. I'm just not into the art stuff. I hate art museums. I hate art shows. I hate all that stuff. I've never. I like comic book artwork. I love big fan Neil Adams and Will Eisner and certain people, but then I don't care about it. I'm just not into it all. So I'm not an I'm not a good person to ask about art stuff because I don't care. I did go to, I mean, I guess you say art school. I went to Ringling for 1 year. Found out it was a bunch of Yankees coming south to go to the beach and drink booze. So I was quickly out of that school and up to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art, where Joe was one of my teachers, and I had some very good teachers. Greg Hildebrand, as I often mentioned, involving watercolor, and then I should be drawing all sorts of folks. Jose Delbo, who later became, him and his wife became dear friends. Don Parolin. No, Don wasn't a teacher. Don just was because I was later with the National Cartoonist Society in Florida chapter chair, and Don was living here, and Dick Giordano was living here, and Don Martin was here, and so many great cartoonists were living here. I had to work with and try to get us together. Eddie Pittman, who I just showed that book from. So many of us around here. I've done a lot. And of course, I've done caricaturing, comic strips, and comic books. And the only animation is just, and the reason I could have gotten into comic books, I didn't want to because there's just no money in it. There's no money in. I had an option of probably following through with Hallmark. That was a big thing. Hallmark used the Kubert School to mine from, but I got a job with the city of Orlando, and I'm grateful because I have a pension. Those who went to Hallmark did not get a pension, so I got a pension to go along with my Social Security now. So I'm very grateful to join the city. Plus, I'm extremely knowledgeable about planning and engineering, which I had no background, no schooling at all. I also went to Rollins College, which I'm very proud of. That's where I studied philosophy. I was working to be a philosophy professor, which I still would like to do. That's why I did 2 little books all about philosophy. So that's a big thing, too. Does that make any sense? I'm sorry. Then I also studied religion, comparative religions and philosophy, all this dovetails, political science, which is also still dovetails. So I did a lot of study all in this area, and I studied water. A lot Rollins studied water, which is one reason I know a lot about water in Florida and environmental things. Plus, I'm a cracker. I know Florida. I ended up marrying the foremost authority of hiking in Florida. I'd already done hiking, but with her, we really took on the state. And there's not, in the end now, there are very few places I haven't been throughout the entire state of Florida. And if you know Florida, that's hard to say. But it's rare there's some place I haven't been. Unless it's somewhat really new, and I don't count new stuff. You have to be around 25 to 50 years for me to to count for something. I don't know if that means anything or not. That's also why I'm very good. That's why I started Swamp Beach, Florida, to educate folks about our incredible history, heritage, and culture. And we did the 19 books, and I was surprised Dr. Bob Knight had copies of the old Swampy books at the Florida Springs Institute, because those are really out of. We didn't keep those up after the bookstores started closing everywhere. Yeah, I noticed that Second and Charles. Second and Charles is a place. There are only 2 in Florida, 8 in the whole country. But they're outgrowth of Books A Million. And at Second and Charles, you can take books and turn them in and get money or get credit. Well, we've known for a few decades that books aren't selling. And as they go down, the resellers or even used bookstores are going to stop seeing books because people aren't reading books, they're not buying books, so they can't turn them in. Everywhere I see are having problems with books right now. Because the older folks have died off. Some of the newer, younger, in their 70s and 80s, were young at a time where they stopped reading. Now the current 50, 40, 30 group are really not reading. So the used bookstores at places like Second and Charles are going to cease to exist. And I saw that today at Second and Charles going there. The kid that was there had only worked there a few months, and I said, "Wow, you guys have a reduction here." He had no idea. But yeah, they used to have a ton of books, and now they don't. Because people are being dumb and they're not reading. And that's what happens. And I say, I draw because I read, not because I draw. You draw well, you write well, you take photos well, you do anything well because you read and you know things. Any dumb bunny can hit a keyboard and do things with a computer. But if you're smart, you read and you know. Yep. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you're still here. If that makes any sense. Hope it does. very active environmentally, historically, politically. Very, very active. I'm talking to Dr. Bob Knight today. Well, since the virus hysteria, we haven't had an opportunity of getting environmental stuff. All the environmental groups vanished in thin air and never come back. So I'm hoping to help out the Springs Institute again, do some things to try to help get the message out about our water. I've already got a number of swampy books out on it, but I want to get more. Gotta try. And that's knowing our history. When I talk about Florida history, I talk about our outdoors. It all connects. Where was I when Marjorie? There's a big Marjorie Ken Rawlings display. Well, I was at the Yearling restaurant. I was talking to some folks there. You know, the importance of Marjorie Ken Rawlings is not that she wrote, it's that what was going on at the time, and how important it is to understand. And you can understand by reading her, but you need to read history too around that time. And before that, it's very important. So I hope to be I got a chance to get to hiking trails Sunday. I hope to hit more of those. I'm sorry, my voice is not what it could be. Oh, you're still here. So did I answer your question? I'm not an art guy, so I'm not a good person to ask about art stuff. I've been doing this professionally now. I'm in my 46 years. I'm mostly known as a political cartoonist. I was syndicated across the country, drew for a very, very, very well-known radio, TV, and personality. I was in all sorts of publications. I've been in all sorts of... I've done a lot of stuff. I have a lot of territory. But, it's like, there's a lot of people who know how to really... like Eddie knows how to render, but who knows Eddie Pittman, and that's unfortunate. Or I also I found a copy of Asterix at 2nd and Charles. This was $5. I've never seen one of these copy of this so low. But this guy who knew how to tell a story, knew how to render. That's all ancient history now. I mean, this story's ancient history, but I mean, even the artwork, and they're still making them because it's Europe. Europe has a different view than here in the U.S. Here in the U.S., it's all video games and violence and anger and so on and so forth. Well, it depends on your politics. You either like this guy or you hate him with a red-hot passion. Oh, 2nd and Chuck. I love 2nd and Charles. Well, I don't like the one in Gainesville, which is where I was today. I like the one in Jacksonville. You have to understand, I have friends, Democrat, Republican. I've just been the person I was just communicating with me here before I started about getting old is a real life communist, and I greatly admire him because he doesn't just talk about it; he doesn't. And in fact, he made the news. Not that he doesn't want to make the news, but he used to go and feed the homeless out at a big park in Orlando called Lake Eola, and he was part of a group called Food Not Bombs, and he'd go out there and feed them. And he was told, if you keep doing this, we're going to arrest you. So he got arrested once. He got arrested twice. He got arrested. He wasn't quitting. Money's what really hurt him. And the realtor builder developers couldn't have him out there because they were redeveloping the whole area. So he got deep six quick that way. And no flighty political views were going to get in the way of that. Now it's just with as I said, my mother-in-law, Helen. She's a die-hard Dixie Democrat, and she always has been, always will be. So I was with her earlier today, and then Dr. Knight's a Democrat, and most of the people in the Springs is a pure Democrat. So I was with them, and they're all friends. And Daryl Kirby's in Turkey, where none of this matters. You don't really have a say in Turkey. It's just kind of there. People forget how much we're free in this country, and most the idiots say I'm going to move to another country. You mean where it's less free? Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. He'll go to England. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm very active. I represent my party, and I'll be at a big convention here in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. I was just at one a week ago, a week and a half ago. I say, well, it was here. But I do have very specific views that don't necessarily follow the party line, but I follow the party line because that's how we get things done. If you're not getting results, you're wasting your time. Don't do whatever it is. Get results. And I saw Sean, the archivist, that you posted a third volume of your thing. That's getting results. Good job. Keep going. Oh, Rush. No, I was just writing about him, though. Why was I writing about him? Because he used to talk about something. Oh, someone was mentioning something about Bernadine Dorn, and that was someone that Rush Limbaugh would constantly beat about. Bernadine. It's funny, this person brought it up. I said, I remember her. She was a troublemaker. Now that's someone I do not think. Well, I'm not really a fan of Rush Limbaugh either. I have a big problem. He was okay until he would complain. He would be in Missouri. I hate Florida. I hate golfing. I hate the ocean. I hate sunburns. And then a few years later, he's in Palm Beach getting a sunburn, playing golf in the heat with. First of all, I didn't want him in Florida. Only reason I'm really glad Trump is in Florida is historic preservation. He saved Mar-a-Lago. That building was going to get bulldozed. It was going to be bulldozed, and that building has incredible history. I highly recommend a book called not Mistress. Um, dang it, I can't think of it. Eris. It's called Eris. It's the story of Marjorie Meriwether Post, and how C.W. Post had a child. C.W. Post was a brilliant genius, had a child who was apparently a brilliant genius, but blew it all at a nonstop party her whole life. One of her great accomplishments was getting Mar-a-Lago built, which is incredible structure. And Trump saved it. It would be gone. It would be a series of block structures now, probably, if it wasn't for him buying it. So that's the only reason I'm glad he's in Florida. Otherwise, he can leave anytime the sooner the better, as long as he keeps the building. No, I drew for Glenn Beck, and Glenn was a hilarious guy out of Tampa, talking local politics. He was just phenomenally funny. I was syndicated around the country. No one knew Glenn Beck, so I thought I would bring more attention by, bringing attention to Glenn Beck. Well, I had nothing to do with his big people's knowledge of him today. However, because of the cartooning I was doing, did give more reason why he was put on nationally. I was actually in the studio when he got the call saying, "You're going national next." Two ends on that, Glenn, by the way. Always like saying that because it's so silly. Two ends, one end, I don't know. But I was in the studio when he got the call to say, "You're going national on Monday." This was a week after September 11th, I think. And he had to real quickly scramble, and then he kind of lost his mind. I don't care for how. I really can't listen to him. He's just too depressing. He just refuses to really look at life. One thing, though, I didn't care much for. I hated the hypocrisy of Limbaugh with what he did going to Palm Beach. I did say, He was consistent. He was more upbeat about things, and he would laugh. Glenn doesn't tend to laugh. He doesn't cry. He just did it. Katie Hopkins, I love Katie Hopkins. Again, here's someone who gets results. She has a passion and gets results, and she doesn't tend to play games over there in the UK. And she's been touring through here, done a whole ton of interviews. So you did one with Glenn. The only one she cried, and he cried, was on her. He did an interview with her. How do you get Katie Hopkins to cry? Come on, there's something wrong. You're doing something terribly wrong. So I wish he'd be less upsetting. about stuff because I know he's a funny guy, but you can't tell it anymore. I cannot tell you how funny his program was out of Tampa. He made fun. I'm not a sports person, like an art person. I'm not a sports person. Um, I'll tell you, kind of reason why is that art and sports are are passing fancies. There's nothing. There's no permanency. Sports is temporary, and then something replaces it, and it doesn't last. So it comes and goes and comes and goes. You know, like books, they come and they stay. I mean, they can you can not read them, but they're still there. But when it comes to artwork, it comes and it can disappear. And you never like me. Let me look at the at whether it be Asterix, though this in Europe, in America, I should say in America, but here Red's Planet, here gone. Does anyone know Red's Planet? Does anyone know Eddie Pittman? Wise is $1.75. This is tragedy in my view, but all right, so it is. Then not just that. Here's something else I picked up at an antique store. The little children that lived in a shoe. I love these little illustrations. Look at those. A wonderful little illustration. I love these illustrations. This is gone. They're not publishing this story. They're not publishing this artwork. They're not publishing this book. Here, gone. So artwork really is meaningless. But be that as it may, Glenn was hilarious. He was making fun of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The owner was a guy named Malcolm Glazer. He actually went so far as they used to do a float for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he did a float of Malcolm Glazer and actually did a paper mache. I mean, like a two-story paper mache head of Malcolm Glazer with a big red beard and hair, and it's just flat out funny. It was blows away anything Howard Stern or Gutfeld or any of these people did. It was just really funny, and Stu was there, and what Jeffy connected with him there. Jeffy was already in Tampa, and he ended up going with him nationally. Not initially. I never understand quite why he didn't go initially, but Jeff Fisher did. Jeff Fisher's a really nice guy. They're all nice folks. But I had to stop. I had to stop. I had to stop. Making me crazy. And I could go and get syndicated again. I just don't want to. It's just there's no money in it. It's a lot of work. If I was married, I probably would. Because you really today, if you want to do artwork, you got to have a spouse. Because you got to have someone who's really making money. And I'm too old for that. I'm getting my Social Security. I'm getting my pension. It's good enough for me. Who's 9/11 bit? I mean, I was there. I was It's funny now he cries, but when 9/11 happened, he wasn't crying. I don't remember him crying. I'm not saying he's a hypocrite. No, he's not. I'm just saying his attitude has gotten very emotional. I'm not an emotional guy. I'm not into emotional stuff. Don't forget, I'm not sure we're hooked up on Facebook or not, but I saw my friend Leanne a week or 2 weeks ago, and she wanted to hug me, and I'm not a hugger person. I'm not a huggy person. That's just me. So I don't know the 9/11 bit, but I mean, I was certainly part of his program when that occurred. I was working at City Hall when that occurred. I remember what we did on City Hall when that occurred. Frankly, that was mild stuff compared to what we went through with a hurricane. 2004, that really hit us hard. That really hit us hard. Make our candidates better. Make our candidates better. We're getting lousy candidates because can't get the Democrats to get their act together. I said to Bob too. We're having water problems because no one's doing what they need to do. The other true story is that most fixing of water issues in Florida have happened under Republicans, not Democrats, and that frustrates me. I'll stop. I go on and on about this. I know way too much about all this stuff. Been not working in it too long. Get boring. People don't like it. I know. Shut up and draw. But I'm not. I don't say I'm an artist. My Laura Ingram is so funny. I think Laura Ingram is a far better person in presentation and what she ended up doing. Though I think her radio show is better than what she's done. I don't watch her TV thing. And that was a problem with the National Cartoon Society. Most of them are not. They think you are to be one party, and if you're not one party, we don't want you here. And this was becoming a problem. It's the reason why the National Cartoon Society started to come apart severely about 12, 15 years ago. Was because folks got involved that was either oring, and so they left. A whole bundle left. That's not why I left, but it's why a bunch left. Big names left. They did not like it. It's not. I agree. National Cartoon Society should not be a political group. Our focus is cartooning. And I didn't like how the politics became an issue. So even those who agreed with the ideas, there are those who left too. They didn't like the attitude at all. And the people behind it are names you know. But that's all I'll say. But the organization hasn't been the same. Since he's gone, I'll say Jack Davis was one of those people who he actually left the group a bit before all of it because he was seeing reading the tea leaves. He left Mad Magazine because it got dirty and he didn't like it. So it was always edgy, but it started getting really filthy and he didn't like it. So he said, "Okay, I'm not working here anymore," and that was why he was gone from there. And I agree with Steve Allen. I agree with Mort Saul, the great humorist of our time, who say, well, you don't have to get dirty to be funny. And I agree. The reason I'm not a fan of Howard Stern, for example. Basically, Howard Stern's program is a giant soap opera. Yep. All right. Well, you're not responding to this, and I probably should stop talking about it. But anyway, people get upset. But I'm definitely not on the radical side of anything, except Florida. So this drawing is in reaction to our conversation. And if you are, please do get involved with your local party. I don't care what party you are, just get involved. We need people. We need especially young people to get involved in their community, get involved with their PTA, their Rotary Club, whatever. Get involved. Get involved with your political party. I don't care what it is. Get involved. The more you participate, the better for everybody. And get your kids involved. How's that? Oh, there you go. I'm sorry, I'm way off screen. That should be good. There you go. How's that? Actually, I'm in favor of having cats take over the planet. They can do it right now if they want to. I say all the world leaders step down. I want kitties in charge. All right, well, let's see what we got. What we have here is two drawings I did. Oh, no, I did them on the back of the other. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so I've got the old kitty, little kitty, and then huckster, gator. I've got a huge collection of political buttons and all kinds of Florida stuff. I find the 1968 and 72 campaigns fascinating. I know I have because of course 68 you had I had ice cream with Abby Hoffman. Not a lot of people, very few people could say that, but I did. I got to sit and talk with him. But so the Chicago Seven, all that stuff in Chicago, is 68, and of course the rest Democrats, Republicans were in Miami Beach. Then 4 years later, they're both in Miami Beach. They're both in there because Democrats had already booked it, but the Republicans, I forget where they were going to be, but they couldn't do it, so they ended up back at Miami Beach within weeks of each other. Absolutely fascinating. So I've got all kinds of materials of both Republican Democrat conventions in '68 here in Florida with the Republicans, and a ton of stuff involving both parties in the '72, and this was all Nixon, very very interesting. But all right, I'll stop. That's my little thing. All right, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm very tired. It's been a very, very long day. And I hope that I should be coming back tomorrow. I'll probably do it earlier. I hope to do it before I go off to a 3 o'clock meeting I have. But I may do it in the evening. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm tired and I'm half asleep. Who are you people and what are you doing in my room? As the old Dean Martin line goes. Thank you for being here. I'll be here next time. And take care. And thank you, Sean, the archivist. Go check out his, if you're interested in cartooning, go check out his, and feel free to put a link to that, by the way, here, to his kind of behind the scenes. That was the name of an old cartoonist thing, behind the scenes. But behind the scenes with a cartoonist, and you can see him actually drawing. He's collected a whole bunch. I couldn't believe you got George Breitsacher. George, Frank Springer, and I just couldn't wait to get together with them. And they said the same about me. We just love getting together, and they're just great, great guys. Golly, I forgot all about it. So I saw Breitsacher there. I thought, oh, God, there's George. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, all right, I'll see y'all later. Rob Smith here. Take care. Bye.